Welcome to Kippy C Math! Today we're going to round 3-digit numbers to the nearest hundred, and you know we're back with our chicken crossing the road. Remember that round means to find what your number is close to, and today we're going to round even bigger numbers. And instead of worrying about how we would pay if we had $10 bills, we're going to think, well, how would we pay for that amount if we just had $100 bills? What would be the closest? So remember, when we think about, hey, the chicken crossing the road with a big truck coming, he uses the halfway mark to think about which side of the road he's closer to. And we're going to use a halfway mark to figure out what our numbers are closest to. Now, the nice thing about rounding a 3-digit number like this one to the nearest 100 is that it's really easy to see how many hundreds are inside because it's just as high as hundreds. There are 2 hundreds, right? So that's going to be how we start. It's going to be nice and easy to see that on our place value chart. So that's going to be step 1. Find out what place value your number is between. We're going to draw the sides of the road just like Hey would have. Put that number in a place value chart like this, and then see that 287 is between 200. I can just think of these turning to zeros if I need to. And the next 100 up, 300. Nice and easy, right? You can imagine if I was skip counting by hundreds. 100, 200, 300. I can hear where 287 would be between the 200, which is lower than it, and then the 300, which is higher than it. Then we find the halfway mark. Now, the thing to think about is with that skip counting, in between each number is 100, like a hundreds block. And halfway would be 50. So this is a little bit different. We are using a different halfway mark because now we don't have tens in between each number. We have hundreds. Halfway here would be 150. Halfway here would be 250. Halfway here, 350. Halfway here, 450. Halfway here, 550. So that's the biggest difference is because the halfway is different because the whole way is different. It's 100 instead of 10. Once you have what your numbers are between, ta-da! And you have your halfway mark, ta-da! Then it's super easy to see what side your number is on. Now the trick is to remember that you're not comparing to 5, you're comparing to 50. So you would be looking at here at this compared to 50. It's less than 50. So 126 is less than 150. It's closer to this side. It rounds down. But 568 is greater than 550. So it rounds up. You do the next one. Think about 432. Which side is it on? And so which number is it closest to? 432 is less than 450, so it rounds down. 952 is greater than 950, so it rounds up. And we can just keep going like that. The key is really to make sure we have the right end marks and the right benchmark. Now, let's see this put together for one problem with our special guest.
Hey, Miss Ramish. Hey, guys, this is Mrs. Shaw from Heights Academy.
Thank you so much for talking to us today. Ms. Shaw, we're wondering, how do I round 386 to the nearest 100?
Oh, my goodness. How exciting. 386 to the nearest 100. Well, first, I'm going to put my number in a place value chart.
Okay. Ones, tens, hundreds. Okay. We're there.
Great. And now I'm going to imagine that there are only hundreds. So I could even redraw my place value chart or just underline whatever is in the hundreds place.
Okay.
Or bigger.
Okay. I redrew it. Perfect.
Great. So now I know I can draw my number line. So I'm going to think about my low point, and that's going to be my lower 100, which is 300.
Okay.
And I'm just going to go one up in the hundreds place for my high
Okay, got it.
Now I just have to think about my halfway mark. And I know half of 100 is 50, so my halfway mark is going to be 350.
Okay, got it.
Now I have to think about, where does my number go? 386 is after 350, so I'm going to put it on the right-hand side of my number line.
Okay.
And that shows me that it's closer to 400. So 386 rounds to 400.
Awesome! Thank you so much.
That was so cool.
Now it's our turn. We're going to round 349 to the nearest 100. Step 1, put our number in a place value chart. Now in this case, our number's already drawn to the 100, so we don't have to redraw another place value chart. We just know these smaller place values are zeros. The low 100 is 300, and the high 100 is 400. Now what is right in the middle? What is halfway between 300 and 400? Remember, these are separated by 100, so think about half of 100. Halfway is not 50, halfway is 350. Good for you if you didn't say 5, but 50 isn't good enough. It's 350. Now we look at 349. It's less than 350. So it rounds down. It's closer to 300. Great job. Just remember, don't take shortcuts, because tomorrow we're going to round 4-digit numbers to the nearest 100. But guess what? The same rule's always going to apply. We're always going to use a number halfway between our benchmarks to see what our number's closest to. Yay for your super brain! I'm so proud of you for doing even more rounding with the chicken.